Hey everybody, it's Adam, live and in person for you. Hey everybody, it's Adam, wonder who he'll interview. Call me Adam.com.
Well, I am so excited to catch up with one of my entertainment idols, Tony and Emmy nominated actor Norm Lewis, whose undeniable baritone vocals will make your ears perk up and your heart melt. Norm is currently starring Ceremonies in Dark Old Men at St. Clement's Theater in New York City through May 18th. This production marks the first time this show has been mounted in New York City in nearly 40 years. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Adam Rothenberg, and for the past 16 years, I have been going behind the scenes with celebrities and artists from the world of film, television, theater, and music. With over 2,200 interviews under my belt, I make my guests feel comfortable and at ease, allowing them to talk about life behind the curtain. So without further ado, please welcome the one, the only, the incredible Norm Lewis.
Yay, the crowd goes wild.
Yes. Woohoo! It is so good to catch up with you, Norm.
Likewise, it's been a while since I've seen you.
Yes, we haven't seen each other since before the pandemic. It was at 54 Below for your holiday show.
Oh,
It
gotcha.
was the last time we got to speak. So I am thrilled to be talking to you about this new show now.
Yeah.
So what made you want to be in this production of Ceremonies and Dark Old Men?
Well, I didn't know the history of it until I got it. And then all of a sudden I did a deep dive and I'm like, wait a minute. It's with the Negro Ensemble. That's where it originated. And it had people like Billy D. Williams and Lawrence Fishburne, Denzel Washington, Keith David. It's just been an amazing lineage of fantastic people. And this play actually is significant. It was a runner-up with the Pulitzer Prize back 40 some odd years ago. And the story it's a family story. It's told through African American eyes, but I think anyone can relate to this. They have an uncle or a sister or a brother that is on that stage that they can relate to.
I love the family aspect of it.
Mhm.
And why do you feel that now is the perfect time for this show to be revived?
Well, I mean, there's many different layers to that answer. I think the fact that, the history of African American work to come to the forefront again, because again, I had never heard of it until I got it. Once I told people that I was in it, they were like, "Oh yeah, we studied that in college," or people said that they were in the show. They did a regional production of it or something like that. So that's one aspect. Also, I think culturally right now we need to um, to kind of get back to a family unit and understand the dynamics of different personalities and things like that. Because this society right now, we're kind of divided, and
Mhm.
we need to kind of get back to at least some basic roots.
100% agree.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Well, I hope this show is able to help bring some unity to us from the people who get to see it.
right. Absolutely.
So, what is one characteristic of now you play Russell Parker in the
Mhm.
show. So,
Right.
what is one characteristic of his you are glad you don't possess?
Well, I think um, because the character is searching for himself, and he was a vaudeville performer, and his legs, obviously, over the years as a dancer, you're an athlete, so things wear down. So he has to transition to another career, and he becomes a barber. He's not that successful in his barbering, but I think I don't want is floundering about and trying to figure oneself out and having the the pressure of trying to maintain a family, of being a patriarch in the family, trying to uphold that sort of that image of who you think you should be. So I wouldn't want that pressure, but I do understand him because me being an artist, me being in this industry, we know everybody that you're only as good as your last job. So you hope and pray that you get more work later on down the road. So I can relate to him. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes though.
Understandable, understandable. Although I don't think you're only good as your last job. You're always good. So
Oh,
I don't think that applies to you.
too kind. You're too kind.
Well, the show takes place during the 1950s.
Right.
So what similarities do you see between the 1950s and today?
Well, interestingly enough, some of the same language is being spoken right now. I think we're kind of regressing in our ability to respect other cultures and respect other uh, people who don't look like one another.
Mhm.
We, in 2025, we were hoping that we would be in a better place by now. But, the 1950s, obviously there was segregation, and obviously there was a lot of uh, protesting. There was a lot of just, uneasiness and trying to create some sort of civility in this nation. And this was actually right before the Black Panther movement. And you could tell within the play, there's certain aspects of it that talk about different groups getting together, different leaders getting together, and creating a protest, creating some demonstration, things like that. And here we are right now in the same boat.
Mhm. Yes. Yes, we definitely are in that in
Yeah.
that time, which I don't think many of us expected to be.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well, hopefully we can learn something from this show that could help us in our current climate.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Truly.
Now, according to press notes, I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen the show yet. I'm coming. I don't know if you want to know exactly when I'm coming. I don't know.
No, you can please tell me.
Okay.
I don't mind.
I'm coming Saturday night.
Yay,
So,
yay
yes.
me. I get to see you
Yes.
on Saturday.
Yes, I can't wait. So, according to press notes, Russell Parker likes to spend his days playing checkers and reminiscing about his life in vaudeville as a song and dance man.
Uh-huh.
So, my first question to you is with this, when you're not performing, how do you like to spend your days?
Wow, that's a great question.
Oh, thank you.
Most of the time, because luckily, I'm so busy that I kind of like to just stay quiet and I'll read or if the weather's good, I'll go outside and do some things out there and run errands. I like to go to the park. I live near Riverside Park, and I also don't live too far from Central Park, so I go and escape the hustle and bustle of New York City. Um, but other than that, I love entrepreneurship and I love business, and so I do a lot of reading on those kinds of things and study of that. And yeah, that's kind of my day.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm actually in an entrepreneurial community who's
Oh,
helping me build my business,
okay.
of sort of along the lines of interviewing and all of that.
Mhm.
Do you have any business venture that you're working on?
Well, right now I have, I mean, it's very slight. I'm not sure how much I'm going to continue this, but I have online store on my website, and I sell different T-shirts and masks and hats and things like that. But yeah, I love the affiliate marketing. I love internet marketing in general, and I'm more of an advocate for it, and I want to talk about it so I can tell people that it works. Especially our artist friends who are looking for money, some extra money, because there's ways to go online. I mean, we're digressing now, but
Yeah, yes.
but there's ways to go online and you can make a coloring book and sell that. And I know people who are making thousands of dollars a month by selling a coloring book.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's incredible. Well, I love that you love affiliate marketing and that you believe in it because it is something that can help you get that recurring income.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I could go on and talk to you about that all day, but I do need to get back to the
Ceremony.
performing side of
Yes.
you. Yes. So now, as similar to Russell Parker in the show, as he's looking back on his life in vaudeville, as you look back on your life, what shows do you, and I'm going to quote Christine from Phantom of the Opera, which do you think of me fondly?
Well, I think people know me for Phantom, for Javert in Les Mis, for Porgy and Bess. But there are jewels, there's little nuggets. All the shows that I've been a part of, I've learned from, whether they've been critically acclaimed or not. There's even a show that I did called Captain's Courageous off Broadway with Treat Williams, God rest his soul. But I had a bit part in that, and I had a couple of lines. But I learned and did a deep dive of who my character would be, and because of that, I was very proud to say those words in a different, like a Caribbean accent. And
Mm.
it just was, I don't know, there was something that really meant a lot to have that authenticity and to work with that great cast.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna move a little. We're gonna get a little serious for a moment.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So press notes about the show also state that tragic consequences ensue for the whole family.
Mhm.
So, what is one tragedy you have ensued, and how did you find the strength to get through it?
Oh, well, I have a strong faith. I've had, one for many, many years. I grew up in the church, and some of that uh has a lot of it has translated and been carried on throughout my years. Some of it has morphed because I've met different people from different cultures and different religions, and so it's morphed a little bit. It's not as strenuous or strict as it was before, but God, what is a tragedy? There's so many.
Mm,
Losing friends is one. We just lost Gavin Creel last year,
yes.
and Ken Page and Adrian Bailey, and so those kinds of things. It makes you reflect on your own life and makes you think about your own mortality and getting closer to your friends or just making sure you stay in touch with them and family as well. So I guess having my faith has been a great lift for me and something that I always can rely on.
That's wonderful. Great that you have something. I feel like everybody listening that they can and watching, they can also learn from that, from how you get through things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, since the show takes place in a barber shop,
Uh-huh.
what are some non-theatrical jobs you had in your career to help pay the bills during either at the beginning of your career or during slow periods of work?
When I first moved here, because I had just finished working in advertising for the Orlando Sentinel, and so I moved here just straight from there, signed up with a company, it was a temp agency. So I went and signed up, and they would hire me back in the day before we had the internet as something that as common as it is now. There was word processing.
Yes.
I was a receptionist. Gosh, I've done all kinds of stuff. Bartended, I've waited on tables, I've catered. I worked for like four catering companies at one time.
Oh my God.
They always kept me employed because if one didn't need me, another one might have needed me. So, and then they ranged from something that was very casual, where you just walk around and say hors d'oeuvre, or or it was the high class French serving. Do you know what French serving is?
No.
So French serving is when you have every food on one platter and you have a spoon and a fork, a big spoon and fork, and you place each thing on the plate. So you lean over to the individual that's sitting and you put their protein down, you put their vegetables down, you put their starches down. And yeah, it was tedious. And a lot of times people didn't want to move to the side like that. But you're like, I need to feed you, so can you please give me some room? But yeah, so I've worked so many odd jobs.
Oh my gosh. Now, did you ever, while you were serving, did you ever sing like, "Here is your chicken," you know?
No, you know what? Now hindsight's 2020. I probably should have. Maybe that could have been my stepping stone to another career. Who knows?
Yes, yes. And at this stage of your career, do you even have to think about taking a job outside of performing?
I have been lucky enough to survive now for a few years, just on my performing. But you never know. Things might happen. Right now, we're in a recession slash going into depression. I think the entrepreneurial sort of studying is
Mhm.
something that has inspired me to have multi
Dreams
stream.
it, yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. Streams, multi streams of income. If the pandemic didn't teach you anything, it's like you do need multiple streams of income. If the SAG strike or the writer strike didn't teach you anything, you need to have multiple streams of income. So it's always good to kind of know that there's other options without
Yes.
without giving up your dream of being an artist. Yeah.
Of course, yes. And I think that's great advice for any performer, anybody actually watching, to have those multiple streams. You definitely need that.
Right, right. Absolutely.
Well, continuing with the barbershop theme, and since I did get to see you as Sweeney Todd in the off-Broadway production, if
Yes.
you owned your own barbershop, what would you call it?
It's probably because the name is so common. The reason why I'm Norm is
Uh-huh.
I grew up Norman. I introduced myself as Norman for 20 some odd years. And all of a sudden the show Cheers came out. And every time I would introduce myself, it was Norm, Norm. So that's how I became Norm, and I couldn't fight it. So I would probably call it Norm's Place.
Oh my God, I love it. And I love that behind the curtain story about how you became Norm as
Yeah.
opposed to Norman.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Now, playing off the title of the show, Ceremonies in Dark Old Men, what is one ceremony that you do always before a show begins?
Ah, you just take a deep breath and you meditate or pray or whatever the words you want to use in your vernacular, and you just make sure that you are focused, and you have to tell that story. People, they trust you to take them on that journey, and I have a responsibility for that. So I just take a deep breath, try to remember my first words. At least if I can get the first words out, I think the rest of them will flow.
And speaking of getting your first words out and remembering your lines and everything, when you are cast in a theatrical production that is a limited run such as this one, how do you keep yourself focused on the show and you don't get distracted by, oh, what's happening next, or what's going to be my next job?
Right. That's a good question. For me, it's, that when the lights come on and, I'm in that space that either hundreds of people or thousands of people are looking straight at me. I have to make sure, kind of going back, piggybacking on what I said earlier, it's my responsibility to tell that story and take these people on a journey. They paid money to come in and see this. And so and I love that. I love the challenge of that because I don't know if you've seen Gypsy or not with Audra.
I haven't gotten to see this production yet.
Let me just tell you, it is something to behold, because I've talked to people who've seen it multiple times. I've talked to the guy who runs the front of house there, and he has said that she doesn't do it the same every night. And I want to work towards that. I mean, still stay within the parameters of what you worked on with your director and everybody, but it's organic. I might have a headache that day. I want to bring that headache into the scene. Why not? You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because it's
Yeah.
real. I don't necessarily have to tell you that I have a headache, but it's a real thing that's happening to me at the time in that space. And uh yeah, so I just want to, I think I answered your question.
No, no, you did. You have to stay focused to take people on the journey and maybe bring in some of the external elements that are happening that may help you stay focused. And I mean, speaking of like you get a headache or something, how do you keep yourself healthy while you're in a show as well?
Well, with a musical, you basically, I don't talk during the day, or I try to limit the amount of speaking that I do during the day because it's a muscle that you're using and you don't want to wear it out. So you can bust out at 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night. But this is a play, so it's different. And for me, I don't necessarily have that extra worry about maintaining my voice. So if I come in and I have a scratchy voice, I'm still gonna act, I'm still gonna do my part. Where if I was doing Phantom, there's no way I would go go in with that scratchy voice.
Right.
Um, so there's that aspect to it. But yeah, I just try to sleep as much as I can. I try to stay hydrated as much as I can, and actually, having exercises and stretching and all that stuff, that really does help.
Well, I am very excited for the show. And when you do get cast in a show or it's the opening night of a production you're in, how do you celebrate that win?
Drinking. No. No, it's just, it's a team effort. You celebrate with the people that you've worked with, and you just, it's a joyous moment. It's a very, I was telling some people the other day because we are in this theater is a church and it's a functioning church. It has services every Sunday and they do their church activities throughout the week and everything, but they just happen to have this beautiful theater in there, and it's one of the oldest off-Broadway houses. Um, but for me, doing theater with a group of fantastic people is like church, and we celebrate just from a spiritual aspect.
Oh, that's wonderful. What keeps you going when you don't get the role you auditioned for?
Well, it wasn't meant for me, and I try not to get depressed about it because there's a lot of factors sometimes that are not in my control. The fact I might be too tall or too old or too young or whatever, for that particular role. They might have someone who they have in mind for some another part, and I just don't. like we just don't fit.
Hmm.
That's just one example. But I just kind of just do my thing if when I audition and just leave it in the room, and that's it. Yeah. I mean, I know that's easier said than done because there's an old cliche where people say the best audition is in the car ride home
Hmm.
or in the subway ride home because, like, oh man, I should have done that or I should have said that or whatever. But,
Yes.
you can do what you can only do in those 2 minutes or 5 minutes that you have. And
That is very true. And I do those same things sometimes after an interview. I will be like, "Oh man, I should have said this. Why didn't I talk about this? Oh gosh." We all
right,
we all do it.
right. No matter what industry you're in. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I know we've touched on Phantom a little bit here and there.
Mhm.
So I do have two questions for you about your time in it.
Okay.
So, first of all, you were the first African American Phantom on Broadway in 2014, which I can't believe it took 26 years for that casting to happen. But who better to be the first one than you?
You're very kind. I'm just the lucky one that there's so many of my colleagues who could play this role and who happen to be African American or person of color. I was the lucky one, and I'm honored that I was part of that legacy.
Yes. And we were the lucky ones to get to hear you. So, but what did that moment mean to you at the time? And what does it mean to you today?
Well, at the time, I literally was just going for a job. I was Norm as an actor that just, there was an audition. And I'm like, yes, I want to go and I want to get this because I love the role. And I was like, I need a job. I want a job. I want this role, blah, blah, blah. But it worked in my favor. And I got all these accolades for being the first African American on Broadway, standing on the shoulders of Robert Guillaume, who was the original African American, but he did it in LA at the Ahmanson. Um, but after being a part of it and after all of the ceremony of that, you see how I tied that back in?
Yes, I love
Uh,
that.
uh, it's an honor to have that title. It is. Um, but for me, and I say this a lot when I do concerts, but it was more about meeting people afterwards who were of different cultures.
Mhm.
And they felt that me being that symbol for them, they would tell me, I now feel like I can do it. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Just because they see someone that is not what they have seen in the past.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm glad to be that representation for them.
That's incredible. And do you feel like that casting opened doors for you that weren't open before?
I think so. For me, I'm now in the fraternity of Phantoms.
Um,
That's what I call it, and the fraternity of Javers as well. And when I do concerts, I think people are more interested in hearing those songs. They can
mhm.
hear anything else, but it's like as long as I sing music of the night, they're like, okay, I'm satisfied now.
Yes, yes. Or Bring Him Home would
Or bring him
be,
home.
oh
Yeah, it
my
would be, yeah,
gosh.
yeah. Well, it's funny because I know I can when people who don't really know who me know of me and know what I do, when I tell them what I've done, and I get through all of the Broadway shows that I've done, and then I go Phantom. They go, "Oh my God!" For some reason, that is the pinnacle of male Broadway ship, if you
Hmm.
will. I just made that word up, um, but yeah, that is like the zenith, if you will, of what anyone can do on Broadway as a male, and that's the Phantom.
Yes. I don't know why it is. I don't know why
I don't
that
either.
is, but I do feel like that and Les Mis, I feel like are the two. Oh, did you play Javert in Les Mis? Did you do this? And it's like those few select roles are the ones people do hold high.
Hold on, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, my second to last question is you have worked a lot throughout your career with another one of my favorite artists, Vanessa Williams.
Yes.
Has there been any discussion about a Norm Lewis, Vanessa Williams duets album?
No, but now that you've sparked that you planted that seed, maybe we'll have to discuss that. I love her so much. I mean, listen, who didn't fall in love with her when she won Miss America? Like, I was like, who is this woman? Jesus Christ, she's gorgeous. And then seeing her in interviews, and then later on, after her reign, and she started doing movies, and then her pop career, I'm like, this woman is beyond. And I never knew or thought that I would be her friend. And then we become really good friends over the years. And done a few things together, and I'm going. In fact, I'm going to go to London and see her do Devil Wears Prada soon. And so yeah, I would love that. You know what? I'm going to talk to her about it, and
Please.
maybe you could be one of the producers on it.
Oh my God, I would love that. I would love that. And then we could do a joint interview together about the whole project.
Absolutely,
That
absolutely.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, bringing the show back to ceremonies and dark old men, and to sort of wrap things up. What is, and I know I asked you about a ceremony you do before the show, but what's a ceremony you do after the show that you're to help yourself decompress after a performance?
I drink. No, I keep saying that. I'm joking. Sometimes I drink, but no, it's just, the satisfaction of leaving it on the stage. I mean, I'm one of those people that don't take it home.
Mhm.
Um, and that's, that's just my choice. I'm not trying to talk about anyone who lives method and lives that character for weeks and weeks. I just personally don't. I leave it in the theater. That's where it belongs. And yeah, I just go home.
That's incredible.
Just go home. Maybe this is a habit that I probably shouldn't do, but I get hungry after a show, and maybe I shouldn't eat so late, but
But I feel like that's part of the actor's life.
I think so. I think
Yes.
you're right. Yeah, you're
Yes.
right.
Well, this has been absolutely fantastic. I always love talking to you.
Likewise.
And I just want to remind everybody to go see Norm in Ceremonies and Dark Old Men at St. Clement's Theater in New York City. The play is a limited run through May 18th only. So I will have ticket links at callmeadam.com. And Norm, I can't wait to come see you in the show and see what you're going to do next as well.
Thank you. And listen, I love talking to you, and thank you for doing what you do with this industry and supporting us as performers. And yeah, you're just great. You're just great. And just, just tell everybody, just keep telling everybody about this amazing show. It's a limited run, but it's a jewel of a show. And I think you'll really be inspired by the family aspect of it. So,
Oh, I can't wait. I
yeah,
can't wait. Well, thank you again.
absolutely. Have a good
Bye,
one.
everyone.
He'll get the dirt and the scoop and the story, for he happens to be in the know. Just ask anybody who's had Adam lives for the business of show. Call me Adam.com.